Many thanks to our friends on the 5. This is a Fox News alert. Welcome to Hannity tonight. Finally, progress is being made on the many scandals we have been warning you about. A Hannity investigation into the massive Democratic scandals, the numerous scandals. The Department of Justice releases documents about the Loretta Lynch, Bill Clinton, remember the tarmac meeting? Showing media collusion, and that key talking points were actually redacted. What were in them? Jay Sekulow will join us in a minute. Then, after an unprecedented number of leaks, the Trump administration is now vowing to crack down and punish Obama holdover deep state saboteurs who are trying to destroy the president. Finally. And also, Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she's now defending her decision to keep on an IT staffer on the payroll for months, even after he denied access to the House server, fired by many other members of Congress. Remember the double billing? Plus, the Washington Free Beacon reporting tonight and last night, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, unmasking hundreds during the final year of the Obama administration. A UN ambassador? This is news you will not get from the establishment, Destroy Trump media. That is tonight's important breaking news monologue. All right, the ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice, has obtained hundreds of pages of government documents related to Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, remember meeting on the tarmac in 2016, which reveals several very key pieces of stunning information. First, according to the ACLJ, the FBI lied about the existence of these documents because last year, when the legal group, when they filed a request for the material, a FOIA request, after the meeting, the FBI replied, quote, "No records responsive to your request were located." And we're also finding out documents related to the Lynch-Clinton tarmac meeting do exist. So why did the FBI say there weren't any? What exactly did they not want you, the American people, to know? Now, this is why night after night on this program, we have been calling for a full investigation. You deserve to know the truth. We deserve to know exactly what happened. And as for the documents, well, here's what we do know and what we have gotten and what they show. There's an email correspondence between FBI and DOJ officials with the subject, quote, flag, where they discussed how media outlets like Fox News were starting to report on the tarmac meetings. The email also included a set of talking points, but they, of course, were redacted. Why is the DOJ and why is the FBI sending talking points out? Are they a political organization? Then another email that was forwarded from the Department of Justice to the FBI contained questions from a reporter asking for details on how Bill Clinton knew Loretta Lynch would be at the airport tarmac at the exact same time. Now next, an email from July 1st, 2016. It shows the FBI was looking for, quote, guidance on how to respond to media requests for information. And finally, emails appear to show that the media was colluding with President Obama's Department of Justice on how to spin the story. Here's an example from a Washington Post reporter to a DOJ official about the tarmac meeting. Quote, "My editors are still pretty interested in it, and I'm hoping I can put to rest by answering just a few more questions about how the meeting came about." That's so nice of them at the Washington Post. Would they ever do that for Donald Trump? So all of this is absolutely shameful. It's corrupt, and it proves that we have a two-tier justice system. That's where it gets serious. Now, you can add all the other examples, this mountain of evidence that we have when it comes to Loretta Lynch, James Comey, and, of course, the Clintons. Remember, Comey testified under oath that Lynch pressured him to call the Clinton email investigation a matter publicly. That was a Clinton talking point, which he ended up actually doing. Does that sound like obstruction of justice? Now, this is why we are demanding, we're not just calling anymore, we're demanding a special counsel be appointed to look into all of this. The law in this country needs to be applied equally no matter who you are. And just because Hillary Clinton lost the election, she does not get a free pass. Now, a second breaking news story tonight. The Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, declares war on the deep state, on the leaking. Earlier today, Sessions held an important press conference. Let's take a look and catch up.
No one is entitled to surreptitiously fight to advance battles in the media by revealing sensitive government information. No government can be effective when its leaders cannot discuss sensitive matters in confidence or talk freely in confidence with foreign leaders. To prevent these leaks, every agency and Congress has to do better. We are taking a stand. This culture of leaking must stop.
Finally, this is so important. It's time the Attorney General takes action against these unprecedented deep state leaks. Now, as I was explaining last night, if you have any doubt about what we have been telling you about this deep state, look at these examples. Earlier this week, the Washington Post, which has been at the epicenter of these leaks, they actually published transcripts of President Trump's phone conversations with the President of Mexico, the Prime Minister of Australia. Now, just think back in your memory banks. Has that ever happened to any other president? The leaking of these transcripts is so bad that even some obstructionist Democrats are condemning what happened here. This type of thing never happened to President Obama or President Bush. In fact, President Trump has faced leaks at a rate 7 times greater than the previous 2 administrations. And as we've been telling you, during one period, the Trump administration faced 125 leaks in 126 days. That's about 1 a day. These deep state leaks need to stop. Many of them are illegal. Most of them are illegal. It's now becoming clear. These present a danger to the president, the country, the Constitution, the agenda you voted for, our constitutional rights to privacy. This is bad. Now, to be clear, I have been saying 99.9% of those in the intelligence community, they are good people. They work hard, they're patriotic, and their job is so imperative in an evil world that we live in. The problem we face is a small sect within the intelligence community. It appears at the highest levels in the Obama administration, they hate President Trump. They don't care about the last election. Just take a look at the Obama administration's unmasking scandal. Our friend Sarah Carter reported earlier this week, former Obama National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes, he is now a person of interest in the House Intelligence Committee investigation into what? Unmasking. Then take a look at the headline from the Washington Free Beacon yesterday. Former UN Ambassador Power unmasked hundreds in the final year of the Obama administration. Sources that spoke to the Free Beacon said this was, quote, unprecedented for a UN ambassador, an official in her position, to ever do that. We've also learned Congress is questioning other top former Obama officials, Susan Rice, John Brennan, about unmasking. Also the Hill's John Solomon reporting that former Obama Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, he made it easier for officials in the executive branch of Obama to unmask members of Congress and their staffers. Here's the problem. These unelected, deep state Obama holdovers, these bureaucrats are now creating in the United States of America a 2-tier system of justice, a constitutional crisis. They're threatening the right to privacy. They're shredding our 4th Amendment privacy rights. This is a war now, the deep state against you and the President of the United States. Serious issue. Our third major breaking news story tonight. Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she is actually now defending this insane decision to keep on an IT staffer on the payroll after he was fired by other members of Congress and his access to House computer servers were actually denied. Listen to this insanity. Take a look.
The easier thing to do for me would have been to just fire him. Obviously, I was a person who's had the most political challenges in the last year, so it would have been much easier for me to just cut him loose and say, you know, I'm going to look out for my best interests rather than stand up for what I believe in. But I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror every day. And if there's one thing I'm going to make sure that I maintain is my integrity.
Wow, you can read more about that story on sunsentinel.com/DWS. Wasserman Schultz then went on to say that she thinks the only reason this IT staffer is being scrutinized is because of his Muslim faith. Now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz seems to have forgotten why this IT staffer story is such a big deal. Let me remind her. Last month, her former staffer, his name is Imran Awan, he was charged with bank fraud, apprehended, trying to flee the country, and authorities have also been reportedly investigating Awan for allegedly, double billing House Democrats, computer equipment. There's also fears about possible email hacking, exposing House Democrats' information online, national security threats, and earlier this year, when news of the overbilling scandal broke, several Democratic lawmakers fired Awan and his relatives. One worked at a car dealership, one worked at McDonald's, and one apparently stayed home and was denied access at that point to House servers. Then there's this. The Daily Caller reported the FBI has seized two, not one, two government hard drives that happened to be smashed and stored in this guy's garage. Now, the staffer's lawyer disputes this. I'm not buying it. And finally, for months, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was stonewalling the investigation, kind of like Hillary. So the Congresswoman can try and spin the story any way she wants. That does not take away the facts behind the scandal. And just like everything else we've been talking about, night in, night out, if you believe in the rule of law, the equal application of justice, this must be investigated. We will not stop on this program until it is. And that's with every other scandal we talk about. Here now, reaction. President Trump's attorney, and he's also from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow. Jay, good to see you.
Hey, Sean.
All right, let's start. Oh, did the FBI, under James Comey, being the director, did they lie when they said that they had no information when you put in a FOIA request as it relates to the tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Lynch?
So here it is. It started a year ago, and we asked for a FOIA request for information, documentation that they have regarding the meeting between President Clinton and Loretta Lynch. The response was straightforward. This is in response to your Freedom of Information Act request. By the way, it was dated October 21st, 2016. The FOIA request came in July. No records responsive to your request were located. No records were located. Then we sent the same request to the Department of Justice, and lo and behold, here it is. We get about 420 pages. And in those 420 pages are emails between guess who? The Department of Justice and the FBI. And the contents and context of those emails is an attempt to create the narrative, define the story, develop talking points. We're getting press inquiries about this. The FBI's chief of staff receives an email. By the way, the chief of staff, senior counsel to who? James Comey, receives an email from the Department of Justice saying we've got to figure out how we're going to respond to all of this. And then take it a step further, Sean. So we've got a lot of those. All of this is to produce what are called talking points, which, like you said, it's unusual that you would think you'd have talking points in a situation like this. Yeah.
Isn't the DOJ and the FBI supposed to be nonpartisan? I thought talking points were for politicians and their campaigns. I believe that the DOJ and FBI should not be using talking points. Is that pretty obvious?
Right. But here's the problem. They're trying to create a narrative, and we've been talking about this for a year. Now we finally got results. By the way, we had to go to federal court against the Department of Justice almost a year ago, to get these documents. So this is litigation that's been pending less than a year. So we get the documents. All of this leading up to, we've got reports in there, you mentioned this in your monologue, where a Washington Post reporter saying, hey, I need clarification on this, trying to fix this. New York Times reporter saying, I'm being pressed into duty here. I think I could ask you a few questions and put this to rest, is what the Washington Post reports. All this is going on.
The same people exposed to have been working with the Clinton campaign and feeding questions, colluding during the campaign.
Yeah, well, even a step further here, the Washington Post reporter states that she modified a paragraph of the report based on additional information that the reporter was provided, and the reporter then states, well, next time I'll know to go directly to you for this rather than to this other person that the reporter went to. But here's the point, Sean. Guess what is not included in the Freedom of Information Act request? The talking points. They redacted those. Here are the talking points. This is what we got. So let me tell you what we're doing Monday. Back to federal court we go, demanding the talking points, which they acknowledge exist. that they created. But again, this shows you exactly what all of the concerns we have. Yep.
I want to talk about, all right, on to the deep state. And we have Sarah Carter, Greg Jarrett coming up. But I just want your general feeling. Can you remember any time in your lifetime where a sitting president, not somebody like JFK 50 years after the fact, they might release a phone conversation with a foreign leader, Cuban Missile Crisis, whatever it happens to be. Do you remember a sitting president's private phone conversations with a president, like in the case of Mexico, a prime minister, like in the case of Australia? Do you remember it ever being leaked at the time? And does that not define just how dangerous the deep state leaking is? A leak a day, it seems.
Yeah, well, I got two levels of concern here. Number one, these were conversations that the president had with the prime minister of Australia, the same with Mexico. These are the leaders of these countries, and he's having these conversations, and those conversations are then put out in the public. And you got to ask yourself this question. I am concerned about the issue of deep state. In other words, people that are left over from other administrations that are determined to get information out. But I don't know how deep it is.
All right, Jay Sekulow, thank you. When we come back, Sarah Carter, Greg Jarrett weigh in. Oh, Diamond and Silk are in studio tonight. They get the final word right here, straight ahead. As we continue tonight on this breaking news edition of Hannity, joining us with more reaction to our investigation into Democratic scandals from CircaNews.com, Sarah Carter, Fox News anchor, attorney Greg Jarrett. Your reaction, the FBI denies, oh, we don't have any documents. Now we got hundreds of pages, Sarah? Wow.
It happens, Sean, quite a bit. And they redact everything. They redact everything. And then they don't give over the most significant piece of the information that you're looking for, which is why Jay wants to see those talking points. I've been through this.
But they first denied that they existed.
Yeah, they deny that they existed, and they do it in such a way that they can get out of it. They can kind of weasel their way out of it. But you have to be persistent, and you have to get these documents. Look at what's been uncovered by Judicial Watch, that treasure trove of information that they're uncovering that showed that classified emails went to Uma Abedin's, laptop. So, I mean, these are things that we really need to know. They're part of what an investigation is looking for, and they unravel this picture, Sean, of this very deep state that I think all of us want to know more about, because it's really becoming crazy.
Okay, what I love about you, Greg, is that whatever the topic is, you spend hours now digging deep. You dug up the original FOIA.
I did, and it wasn't a narrow show me a transcript of the Lynch-Clinton meeting. No, it was any records pertaining to that meeting, which means discussions before, during, and after. And Comey signed a document swearing under penalty of perjury that he didn't have any such documents. Well, that's clearly not true. 420 pages worth of documents were revealed today. So the question I have is, did Comey commit perjury? You know, a lawyer tried that with me one time, held in contempt of court, and tossed in jail.
Wow. All right. So now the big question, and I'll ask you both the same question tonight, and I'll start with you, Sarah. So now the big question is, okay, we have the Mueller issue, all the conflicts, media pushing it, deep state pushing it. Are we now going to move into Hillary, emails, Uranium One? Are we going to move into Ukrainian influence? Are we going to move into unmasking and intelligence leaking? Are we going to now, if Mueller's going to expand and everything else, do we need special counsel, Sarah?
I think so, Sean. I think there either needs to be a special counsel. We also need to know if the FBI is still investigating the Clinton Foundation. I mean, I'm hoping. We may never know until they actually reveal evidence of that, or whether they've shut it down. But we know they haven't shut that down yet. So we do need to know. And we also need to look at the unmasking. The unmasking is so important here because, remember, some of those leaks coincide with information that was unmasked. And people within the Obama administration admitted in a New York Times report that they were gathering as much information as they could so that they could leak it, and save it so that the public would know. So this is very important.
You have, Greg, gone into great detail about what Mueller's doing. Okay, you talked about collusion, no evidence. Conspiracy to defraud, no evidence. Election violations, no evidence. Now we have Trump meeting with the Russian lawyer, no evidence. Is there a lot more evidence on the list of issues I bring up every night?
With Hillary Clinton? Absolutely.
Hillary, a Ukrainian embassy, unmasking, leaking intelligence?
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the
Thank
list
you.
goes on and on and on.
There's much more evidence on those issues.
Oh, absolutely. You know, isn't it interesting that Robert Mueller, who is tasked with finding a crime that doesn't exist under the law, immediately impaneled a grand jury, and yet James Comey, who spent a year investigating Hillary Clinton for her email and potential pay-to-play, we believe, never impaneled grand jury. Sean, what does that suggest to you? That the fix was in? I mean, one wonders. And that, according to the House Judiciary Committee, must be the subject of an investigation by a second special counsel.
Thank you both. I'm just going to tell this audience, pay attention. We are way ahead of the media curve on this. You will see over time. Kellyanne Conway and Diamond and Silk in studio tonight, right here. Final word.
While the Department of Justice does not discuss ongoing investigations or confirm specific matters, it is important for the American people and those who might be thinking about leaking classified or sensitive information to know that criminals who would illegally use their access to our most sensitive information to endanger our national security are, in fact, being investigated and will be prosecuted.
Finally, very important, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, making it very clear those deep state leakers will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Joining us now, more information, as the counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway. Great to see you. I've been saying this has to happen sooner than later. This is now a clear and present danger to stop the president's agenda, delegitimize him, and really hurt the American people and what they voted for.
It does, Sean. It hurts our national security. And look, you have bipartisan agreement on the very point you just said. No less than the ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, yesterday said it is disgraceful that the conversations our President Donald Trump had with heads of state has leaked, and that he thinks we should get to the bottom of it as well. And we at the White House agree. This is not leaking against a colleague. I think those stories are ridiculous and hurtful in their own right. We're talking about sensitive classified information that imperils the safety of all of us, the entire citizenry, and more to the point, really puts a chilling effect on leaders to be able to have candid strategic conversations with our president. It's incredibly important for him, for governors, for senators, for people in positions of elected authority and power to speak freely and candidly with other heads of state and not have the threat that these conversations will leak. You know, there have been 4 times the number of leaks and prosecutions, I believe, or charges, I should say, in the Trump administration than there were in previous administrations.
Oh, it's actually
and that
more.
just
It's
tells
7
you
times the last two. It's seven times the last 2 administrations. And hey, you know what's funny? Because the ACLJ and their Freedom of Information Act request, and we had Jay Sekulow on, as you know, in the first segment. You know, think about how is the DOJ supposed to be writing talking points for the FBI? And then when the FOIA request comes in, we get a blank sheet and we don't know what's on the talking points? We don't know what they put in there? Wow, that's a big revelation also.
Yes, I saw your interview with him, and I think it's very important that the American people see what's going on and that they see the Attorney General, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of our country, stand up today along with the DNI Director, Dan Coates, and say we take this seriously. He referred to the people who are doing it as criminals.
Wow.
And that was, I think, a very important word. He said we're going to cut down on the culture of leaks. I would go a step further and say you have to cut down on the action of leaks. So I hope it actually has a punitive and preventative effect on those who will think thrice before they get cute and fast and loose with sensitive information. But look, if they can find them, they should prosecute them.
I don't want to put you in a tough spot because you work at the White House, but there have been in the last couple of weeks 3 people that have been removed. 2 of the 3 I know have been working to expose this deep state that we talk so much about, those that are leaking at a rate that we've never seen in our history. And it's so dangerous to this republic and to our privacy rights and our constitutional rights and our 4th Amendment rights. And I am worried after reading Sarah Carter's piece yesterday. How is it possible that Susan Rice, who is being investigated for unmasking Then we've got Samantha Power, a whole different issue. And then we got so many others that are also involved here, Ben Rose among them. How did she get that waiver? What happened there? That doesn't make any sense to me, Kellyanne.
So I've asked this question, and the spokesman for the NSC has informed me that it's common for former directors to get these clearances, or to keep them, I should say.
Even somebody investigated for leaking?
Well, all of them, I'm told that all of them have been granted. In other words, there are many former directors who now have it. Now, you're raising a separate and very important point. That does not stop those who are in charge of investigating unmasking and anything that may have happened between President Trump's surprising and historic victory over Hillary Clinton that the Obama administration was not expecting, and anything that they did do in the time he won to when they left the White House months later. And we know that Susan Rice, we know that Ben Rhodes, we know all these people are in the news now as folks who, Samantha Power, people are at least in the news, and we are obviously monitoring that closely. But I have to tell you that I know this is of interest to many people, and to the extent that people are investigating this, we know people are up on Capitol Hill talking about it, if not asking people to come in and share information. Sean, I still believe that most Americans are very focused on not who has jobs in the White House or elsewhere, but who has jobs across this country.
Kellyanne, thank you as always. When we come back, more on our investigation. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the IT staffer scandal, and Diamond and Silk in studio. Final word here, straight ahead.
Now you can have everything. And your family can too. One of America's safest crossovers, well equipped for under $24,000. Get up to $2,000 cash back or 0% APR for 72 months on select models.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle, dependable relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and Dulcoes for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
The slowest economic recovery since World War II. Millions of Americans drop out of the workforce. Take-home pay, flat. America's outdated tax system has produced slow economic growth. We have one of the highest tax rates in the world. American companies are disappearing along with good-paying jobs. We need a plan to make America competitive again. Call Congress and tell them we can't wait any longer to give American workers the tax reform they deserve.
I like Russo. His on-off splits are the best here.
Yeah, but his offensive win shares didn't even break 4.
Come on. Check out that stop and pop.
What do you think?
My trade-off analytics indicate no one creates more space on offense. This allows him to nail a jumper from a densely populated urban area.
What you're trying to say is from way downtown?
I am still learning.
I can see that.
I make it easy to save $600 on car insurance, so being cool comes naturally. I can't decide if this place is swag or bling.
It's pretzels.
Word. Ladies, you know when you switch, you get my Bomb Diggity discounts automatically. No duh, right? Sir, you forgot. Keep it. You're gonna need it when I make it precipitate. What?
What?
When you really philosophize about it, there's only one thing you don't have enough of, and that's time. When you come to that realization, I think it's very important that you spend your time wisely. And what better way of spending time than traveling and continuing to educate ourselves and continue to broaden our minds.
For over 40 years, Abeka has helped Christian school teachers and homeschool parents provide the best education possible for students of all ages, offering everything from comprehensive textbooks and learning materials to online shopping and support. And it's all because of how we see you that we're able to help you. We see moms, dads, children hungry to learn. We see your heart, their joy. We see inspiring creativity and commitment. We see the difference you're making and how hard it is to do it all. That's what sets us apart and helps us make you a more confident, successful teacher, no matter where you're called to teach. At home or in the classroom. We make it easy, so you can make it amazing.
Welcome back to Hannity. Now, as we showed you tonight, my opening monologue, disgraced former DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz recently defended her decision to keep an IT staffer on her payroll, despite the fact that he was fired by all the other members of Congress because of serious pending criminal investigations and, remember, double billing. Joining us with reaction from the American Conservative Union, their chairman, Matt Schlapp, and senior writer for the Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, is with us. All right. Let's start with that, and then I want to go to this whole Samantha Power issue that, Adam, you've been talking about. Matt, we have another Democrat, and we got, let's see, smashed up hard drives in a garage. Right. Then we got relatives that worked at McDonald's and a car dealership, and some that stayed home being paid, and she is justifying keeping this guy on. Why? Something to hide?
Yeah, two issues here. The first issue is that the amazing lack of management and discretion with the American taxpayers' money is just a very typical, whimsical attitude by a Democrat. But the second issue is this. Why are Republicans so careful and gun-shy to go after Democrat malfeasance and so timid about defending their own people when they're being improperly investigated? I just think this makes activists around the country go crazy.
Maybe weak and inefficient and incapable of using the subpoena powers and the power over the committees they have.
That's right.
Meanwhile, the Democrats take a non-issue, blow it up into a big issue.
And we're in charge, Sean. We're in charge.
That's my point.
We run the House.
Really, the power to subpoena, the power to investigate. They're not legislating. It's not like they're repealing Obamacare or replacing it. All right. Let me ask you, Adam, if I can. You wrote this piece in the Free Beacon yesterday about Samantha Powers. She's the former UN ambassador. How many people in the last year, in an election year, did she unmask or ask to have unmasked? And why would she ever have that authority? Has that ever happened before that you know of?
No, it's truly unprecedented. It's certainly odd, and I think the House Intelligence Committee, rightfully so, has subpoenaed her to find out what is going on here. Look, it's hundreds of unmasking requests in just the final year of the Obama administration. During a contested election, the United Nations ambassador has a reason to unmask, to request the names of Trump associates, now administration officials in some cases, to request their names from raw data, classified reports. How would she use such information, and what would she need it for? Now, the fact that this information subsequently leaked to the press, I think raises even more questions about why a UN ambassador over in Turtle Bay needs to unmask.
Yeah, I just find for the life of me, and this goes back to Republicans, if they're not legislating and they're not keeping their promises and they're not using the power and the authority we have, Matt Schlapp, even Paul Ryan said, they're not going to win. They're not. If you see the reaction of the president, it's so different to what people are calling into my radio show and telling me about Republicans.
Right.
Their high level of anger and disappointment and frustration at their impotence, if you will.
No, that's exactly right. And I want to reiterate this point about the UN ambassador. It's important for all of your viewers to understand. There is absolutely no reason in this job as the UN ambassador that she has to comb through intelligence reports in any way. Basically, that job is a rhetorical job to push American diplomacy on that platform. And the fact that she did this, and what's ironic, Devin Nunes is the one who has been finding out this information. And what happened to Devin Nunes as soon as he got aggressive? The Democratic left-wing groups filed an ethics complaint against him immediately. The left knows how to play this game. They push us back. They push us into a corner. We better get serious, as we'll never win these political fights.
Yeah, I agree. If you had one piece of advice, Adam, let me ask the question differently. if the deep state didn't exist, the unmasking didn't take place, the intelligence leaking didn't take place at 7 times the rate of the previous 2 administrations, and Samantha Power's UN ambassador, which is absurd, do you think we would be in the place we are with, I think, a very abusively biased, corrupt, and unbalanced Robert Mueller team going after the president?
No, we wouldn't be in this situation at all. In fact, it would be a completely different White House, a White House that is free to pursue the policies that the electors wanted when it comes to foreign policy, particularly Iran, scrapping that deal, all of those other issues, rebuilding the relationship with allies like Israel. We wouldn't have to deal with a story a day in the Washington Post or the New York Times detailing highly classified leaks. And look, it's not just Trump administration officials who have been targeted. The classified information they've leaked have interfered with national security operations.
All right, when we come back, Friday night at the fights, we're going to have a one-on-one Hannity versus Austin Goolsbee. You don't want to miss it. And the best thing, Diamond and Silk in studio. They get the final word tonight, right here. So Democrats are not after justice. All they care about is destroying, delegitimizing the president. Don't believe me? Here are a few examples.
Everything that I have learned about this president, starting with the campaign itself, that people should have understood that there was something terribly wrong with him. As a matter of fact, I've said over and over again, I think he's the most deplorable person I've ever met in my life.
I am not running for anything except the impeachment of Trump.
When we have a president who tries to make national security policy or foreign policy through tweeting, then we have a problem. And my guess is that's why people are leaking this kind of information.
When you say we're dealing with the potential of an indictment of the highest-ranking official in the U.S., you mean you believe it is a possibility that for an indictment of the President of the United States?
It is certainly a possibility.
Here now with reaction, former Obama economic advisor, look at the smile, Austin Goolsbee is with us. All right, this is our Hannity shootout. I have some simple questions. Do you find the Democratic Party is in disarray in this sense? They don't have any ideas. They're not offering solutions to help the American people. Do you think their rhetoric about this president is over the top?
Well, those 2 different things. First, they just released a whole program, the Better Deal, they call it. It was kind of a goofy name, but they do have ideas.
And what is the better way? What is the better deal? What is it?
The Better Deal has numerous components, but it's education and training, antitrust, and reduced monopolization.
All it is a bumper sticker.
We could go through that.
It's a bumper sticker. They're not offering.
It's not a bumper sticker. It actually had details, but that's a side note.
Is there rhetoric?
On your question, is the rhetoric over the top? Some of the rhetoric is over the top.
A lot of the rhetoric's over the top, and it's not good for America, is it? You can admit that.
When they're catching him lying, where he's saying one thing and then we come to find out the exact opposite was true, that is infuriating.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean like keep your doctor and keep your plan and save $2,500 a year? Is that like doing another thing?
You don't think that infuriated you, Sean? You had me defend that for 3 months.
No, I'm going to have you defend that till the grave. When you and I go into the next life, we're going to be debating that.
You still owe me money.
All right, let me ask this.
Money. You said Obamacare was going to cost $100 million.
You owe me money from the election, so we're even. All right, next issue.
Okay, fine.
Do you think that when Hillary signs off on giving 20%, up to 20% of America's uranium to Vladimir, and then the people involved in the deal kick back $145 million? Are you going to tell me that's not some type of Russia conspiracy? And if Donald Trump did that, wouldn't there be a bigger reaction?
Look,
would there be a bigger reaction?
My reading of that, you told me that before. I went and looked it up. What I read described that those were not the facts about Hillary Clinton. But
they're the facts.
If Donald Trump did things that were bordering on the edge of illegal, people would be upset.
Okay.
But, Sean, I mean, you can't pretend. They've impaneled a grand jury that is considering indictments of members of his administration.
Next question.
I mean, this is beyond just wild rumors.
If Donald Trump and his campaign deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails, if they bleach bit the hard drives, if they smashed BlackBerries and iPhones with hammers and they gave the FBI phones and BlackBerries without SIM cards and they destroyed hard drives like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, don't you think that would be a bit... Question is a question. Okay. Don't you think if Donald Trump did that was like a if Donald Trump did that, would that be a big scandal? Come on. Of course it would be.
Not if he wasn't breaking the law. I mean, you're trying to distract from the fact.
So because I believe in equal justice under the law. Last question.
No, look,
if Donald
asked
Trump,
me a hypothetical.
If Donald Trump,
they broke the law, they should be investigated.
That's right.
Both
Hillary broke
them,
the law.
All of them. But that's not an excuse.
I want a grand jury for her.
Let's not investigate Trump because you can name some other thing that was suspicious.
Is if the RNC had a paid rep meet with the Ukrainian ambassador at the Ukrainian embassy, and the Politico, not Sean Hannity, reported that that information was passed on to the RNC and the Trump campaign, wouldn't you and your liberal cohorts be saying that's collusion?
Would I be saying? I probably would, because I try to be as consistent as possible. I don't like leaks against the Trump administration.
Thank you.
I don't like illegal leaks against the DNC. You know I've been consistent on that.
There's hope for you.
My point is, just because you see something else that's suspicious, fine, we should look at those things. But that doesn't mean let's turn a blind eye if somebody in the Trump administration is breaking the law.
Austin Goolsbee, thank you. I think it was a very informative segment. Thanks so much. When we come back,
I always love talking with you, Sean.
Diamond and Silk, they've been having the last word the last week and a half. They're here in studio. They get the final word. Straight ahead.
Rethink what's...
All right, welcome back to Hannity. All right, my friends, conservative duo, Diamond and Silk, they've been giving us the final word all week. A twist tonight. They're here in New York City. Welcome to New York City. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing wonderful. Wonderful, yeah.
How was the reaction to the final word for you guys?
Oh, you know what? Amazing.
It's been amazing.
So many people's like, oh, my God, I wait up for you. My mother wait up for you.
What do you mean wait up? What, they don't want to watch me?
Well, they wait up. Some people are older, so they wait up just to see.
So you're sisters in real life?
We are sisters.
Now, have you always been this funny?
Well, we didn't know it was funny. We just flow.
It's fun.
Right.
Why do you like Donald Trump so much? Because you guys you've had an impact on the campaign.
We love Donald Trump.
I love him because he puts America and Americans first. And that's what we want.
That's
we want
right.
a president like that.
What do you think of the attacks against him?
You know, I don't like that. I think it's sick, it's sad. I think it's undermining the administration. It undermines the people. It plays with our democracy, and it must stop.
It has to stop.
I remember when I first met you. I can't believe you're both here. We've become such good friends. I'm so proud of both of you.
Thank you.
Your videos are viral. Are you guys ready for the final word?
We're ready for the final word.
All right. Diamond and Silk, take it away.
Well, Sean, here's tonight's
Deep
final.
State.
Deep State final.
Here's tonight's final word, where we heard about these leaks.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
We don't like that.
No.
And we're not talking about no leaky toilet. We're talking about information.
That's right.
Against the law?
Against the law.
Against the law.
Yes.
Now, we heard that the president's phone conversation got put out in a transcript.
That's what we heard.
So we started doing our little investigation in our mind. So here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
If the transcript was detailed, then check intelligence.
Check that.
If it was sketchy, then check the people around him.
That's right.
Even check the cook.
The cook.
And here's the deal. When they find out who it is, they don't need to pass go.
No.
They don't need to collect $200.
No.
They don't need to go across the board.
No.
Around the board.
No.
They don't need to buy a house or a hotel.
No.
They need to go straight to jail.
To jail.
And let the law take its course.
Clean.
Now that's our final word for tonight.
Back to you, Sean.
I am going on tour. Will you guys come with me?
We will come with you, yes.
Will you promise?
Promise.
Yes.
I have an announcement coming soon. Stay tuned. I love you both. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. All right, that's all the time we have left this evening. Always fair and balanced on this program. We are not those establishment guys. We're not the Destroy Trump media. You'll get information here you won't get elsewhere. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. Night football.